فاز من اعتصم بحبلكم أمن من لجأ إلى حصنكم يا ليتنا كنا معكم سيدي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. اللهم صل. The second salawat, inshallah, we will have for honor of our Imam. And the third salawat to hasten the appearance of our Imam, Imam al-Hujjat al-Hasan. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Tonight we commemorate the night of Al-Qasim. Al-Qasim, who was the son of Imam al-Hasan. Narrations say that 3 or 4 sons to Imam al-Hasan were killed during the day of Ashura. Al-Qasim being amongst them. Al-Qasim ibn al-Hasan alayhi salam was 4 years old when the Imam al-Hasan passed away, and 14 years old on the day of Karbala. The narrations say he has not reached maturity, bulugh. You guys know what bulugh means in Islam, in fiqh. Meaning, he has not reached the age of 5. He was not mukallaf. He was not obligated to pray, to fast, to do ziyarah, to do hajj, to do to give khums, sadaqah, none of that. He was not obligated. One would ask, why do we focus on this boy, this youth, this child of 14 years old? Brothers and sisters, one thing we must keep in our mind is that what happens to the ma'soom, the trials and the tribulations of the ma'soom, are not simple situations that went by. Rather, they were picked and chosen by the Almighty Himself for a specific reason. We are to take example from them. We are to take teachings, mannerisms, faith, ideology from them. Hence, what is one of our sources for tashri'? Other than the Quran, it is the Sunnah. What does the word Sunnah mean? The life of the Prophet, the method of the Prophet. Why? Because the Quran says, وَمَا يَنطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَىٰ. Everything that the Prophet did and acted was a sign of inspiration from the Almighty. And that carries to the ma'soom. The ma'soom also does not do anything out of his own will. Why? Because the Prophet made them the qareen, the equal to the Quran. If they were to make mistakes, then we would not know what to choose and what to leave. That is the problem we have with the word, that hasbuna kitabullah. When did he say that? He said that after he said, leave him alone. He is yahjur. Yahjur means he doesn't know what he is saying. What is the problem with that quote? If the Prophet didn't know what he was saying then, how can I, 1400 years later, differentiate between when he was normal, when he knew what he was saying, and when he didn't know what he was saying? How can I, 1400 years later, differentiate from the words of the Ma'soom what was correct and what wasn't? What did he mean and what didn't he mean? Hence, the Imam here gives you a guideline. He says, anything that we say, measure it according to the Quran. Whatever measures with the Quran, it is our word. And whatever doesn't, toss it against the wall. Returning to our subject, we said Al-Qasim alayhi salam was 14 years old. However, Al-Qasim felt a message that must be delivered. Before we get to Al-Qasim's message, let's answer the question that we put forth in the beginning, is why do we commemorate this child? What is the importance of this child? What do we need to learn from this child? Brothers and sisters, first and foremost is we have to look at how Ahlul Bayt treated each other and everyone else around them. The importance Imam al-Hussein shows Al-Qasim is a representation of the importance Imam al-Hussein held for his Imam. Who was Imam al-Hussein's Imam? Imam al-Hasan. Keep in mind, brothers and sisters, that Imam al-Hasan was the Imam of Imam al-Hussein. When Imam al-Hasan decreed, Imam al-Hussein did not decide for himself. Did not say, Ya akhi, but I have another opinion. Rather, he would say, Sam'an wa ta'a. When Imam al-Hasan decided to give the allegiance or sign an allegiance with Muawiyah, Imam al-Hussein did not negate it. Even though Muawiyah didn't hold true to his bargain, to his side of the bargain. What was the bargain? Is that Muawiyah would have power for 6 months, and then Imam al-Hasan would have power for 6 months, and they would exchange. So every year, okay, they would exchange, or every 6 months they would exchange. So it would be a semi-annual exchange of power. And should Muawiyah die, then the Khilafah returns solely to Imam al-Hasan. And should Imam al-Hasan die, then the Khilafah would in turn go to Imam al-Hussein. That was the agreement that was agreed upon by Muawiyah and Imam al-Hasan. Hence, when Muawiyah began to rally people to Yazid, people told him, what are you doing? You had an alliance. You had an oath to fulfill. After you, it cannot be your son. It must return to Hussein. And that's when Ahlul Kufa sent 10,000 letters to Imam al-Hussein. And Yabna Rasulullah, come to us. We have an army that is ready for you. But when Imam al-Hasan left, he did not leave by himself. When he left, he took his women, his children, and his next of kin. For what reason? To say, whatever befalls you will in turn befall me. Whatever befalls your kids will befall my kids. Whatever befalls your women will befall my women. And he took with him his nephew, Al-Qasim. Al-Qasim, as we said, was 4 years old when his father died, Al-Hasan alayhi salam. Therefore, he was raised by whom? Imam al-Hussein. The male figure in his life was Imam al-Hussein. The female figure was obviously his mother, Ramla. This woman, this pure woman, this woman who raised Al-Qasim in the best of ways. Like we said, the first thing that we must understand is that the life of the Imam is an example for us to extract and extrapolate our lifestyle from it. You want to know how to treat your son? Look at how Imam al-Hussein treated Ali al-Akbar. You want to know how to treat your father? Look at how Ali al-Akbar treated Imam Hussein. You want to know how to treat your brother, your older brother? Look at how Abbas treated Hussein. You want to know how to treat your younger brother? Look at how Hussein treated Abbas. You want to know how to treat your uncles? Look at how Qasim treated his uncle. You want to know how to treat your nephews? Look at how Hussein treated his nephews. You want to know how to treat your sisters, your mothers, your brothers, your fathers? All of our life can be extrapolated from the Ahlul Bayt, specifically within Karbala. Specifically within karban wa bala. Al-Qasim was the continuation of the lineage of Imam al-Hasan. The Imam viewed Al-Qasim as the continuation of the lineage of Imam al-Hasan. First of all, he is the physical link continuation, obviously. He is his son. But he wasn't the only son. Ubaidullah and Abdullah were both present in Karbala. And their roles will come up, inshaAllah. Ubaidullah was even younger than Al-Qasim. Ubaidullah was 11 years old, meaning that he was 1 year old when his father died. Barely 1 year old. The role an uncle and an aunt plays in our lives. I know you guys in America say aunt, but in actuality it's pronounced aunt, not aunt, because there's an A and a U behind the A. So the role played by your uncles and your aunt in your upbringing. Rather, I know that a lot of us here are parents ourselves. The role that we play in the upbringing of our sons and daughters and nieces and nephews, in my opinion, is not a personal role. I grew up for the first 10 years of my life in Iraq. Over there, raising is not a personal issue. It's not something that only your father and your mother do. Rather, your aunts and your uncles do so as well. One could go as far as to say that it is a communal project. When you want to raise a kid, you cannot raise a kid from A to Z on your own. Let's be frank. You got school, you got outside time, you got playtime, you got video games in our modern day. All of those play a role in the upbringing of your kids. Then you got your aunts, your uncles, your grandparents, or their grandparents, I should say, inshallah, if your grandparents are still alive. Rather, the community itself should play a role. Meaning that when I see my friend's son do something wrong, I should correct it. As what? As a part of the community. Because the wrong that he does affects my kids and the kids within the community. In fact, it affects the community in general. Likewise, as the parent, I should not be over emotional and over protective. When someone comes to me and says, Khalid, your son did this, I should be able to take it with an open mind and an open heart. My son is not a ma'soom. My daughter is not a ma'soom. I am not a ma'soom. But unfortunately, what do? We look at the flaws within everybody else. But my kids, my wife, my life is an example of perfection. My son did this. My son said that word. No. You should know what your son says. Automatically, I'm defensive and I automatically attack. That being said, I should also keep in mind the emotions of the parent. When I want to come and I want to say, who do I put on point to you? Who do I put on? I'm going to put you on point. Is that okay with you? When I come and I say, Faizan, I can come to him in front of everybody and I can say, do you know what your son did? In front of everybody. He is automatically gonna what? Go into a defensive position. But if I come to him and I say, Brother Faizan, can we have a word? And I take him outside, I give him a cup of water, and I say, listen, your son is like my son, and my son is like your son. So I don't allow or I don't accept your son doing an action that I would not want my son to do. I saw your son do something, but I'm not sure. I would like for you to look into it. See, there's a difference in the methodology. Now I have put him in a place where he is now what? He has to look into the issue. As opposed to me coming to him in front of all of you guys and say, wow, your son yesterday did something unreal. So keep that in mind when we are with each other, when we are treating each other. When I see one of us doing something wrong, if you guys are doing it all together at once, I'm going to call you out. I'm pretty sure you guys have recognized that already. However, when I see one of you do something wrong on their own, I'm not going to call you out in front of everybody. Nor would you want me to call you out in front of everybody. Nor would I want to be called out in front of everybody were I in your position. Treat everybody the way you want to be treated, as the Prophet says. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Another point, my brothers, my sisters, my elders, I want to bring to mind is the effect we have, the effect of word. What do I mean, the effect of word? When we grew up, which wasn't that far away from you guys, they used to always say, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Who here can say that that is a truthful saying? Let me see a show of hands. Who agrees with that saying, that sticks and stones can break my bones, but words will never hurt me? Show me your hands. Who disagrees with that saying? Subhanallah. There's 3 people that are undecided because they didn't raise their hands. Okay, one of them just did. So 2 people that are undecided. That saying goes against our nature. Because we know full well, if you smack me, I'm going to heal tomorrow. If you break my bone, I will heal tomorrow. But brothers and sisters, if you say something bad, if you shame somebody, that could last forever. Especially if it is from a role model. Especially if it is from a parent. And I say this to myself first and foremost. We come from a community, Iraqi, Indian, Pakistani, Afghani, Irani, whatever it is. We believe in tough love, don't we? Tough love is the way of our parents. However, I want to say to myself and to the parents, tough love isn't always correct. Especially when it's verbal tough love. Brothers and sisters, we have to know what to say and when to say it. What is the definition of wisdom? The definition of wisdom in Arabic is putting everything in its rightful place. So if I take this phone or this iPad and I hang it on the corner over here and it falls and it breaks, what would you say? It's your fault. You didn't put it in its right place. Am I correct or incorrect? Wisdom is placing the right thing in its rightful place. Therefore, and I see this a lot, where a parent will speak to their child and say to them, are you an idiot? Are you stupid? Can't you think? What is wrong with you? Brothers and sisters, this destroys your child's psyche. This destroys your child's emotions. Now you're going to say, oh, my child will forget. No, he won't. No, she won't. Your child might forget the smack that you smacked him upside the head the other day. But he's not going to forget when you called him an idiot. Because that's going to live inside of him. My father, my mother, thinks I'm dumb. Brothers and sisters, who here has children above the age of 4? Above the age of 3? One thing I noticed with my kids is they want what? They want your undivided attention. When they're doing something, what do they want? Your undivided attention. That's why sometimes your son and your daughter go as far as to do what? They drag your face. You're working, you're on your phone, Baba, 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 look, and they start pulling your face towards them. They want your attention. Why do they want your attention? Because they have something that to them is worth your attention, that to them they want to show you, because they want to see your reaction when you see their action. They want to see the pride within you. Kids are much better at reading us than we are at reading them. A kid can read you much better than you can read them. Most of the time. Sometimes they're annoying, deliberately annoying, but most of the time they can read you. Hence, they want your undivided attention. Instead, what do? You say, get out of here. I'm busy. I don't have time for you. Now this kid, instead of finding consolidation within you, must find consolidation within something else. Must find the warmth and love of a father or a mother within someone else or something else. That's when you start driving a wedge between you and your child. That's when you start driving a wedge between you and the one who looks up to you, who looks at you like you are God. A child understands two things in this world. When they are in need of sustenance, when they're hungry and thirsty, and that their source of the rahmah is their parents. To a child, a parent is like God. He understands nothing else of this world. Therefore, when we address our children, let's keep that in mind. Let's not destroy their psyche. Let's not destroy their ideology, their belief, who they are. And let's start with them young. We have a saying in Arabic. We say, teaching them young is like carving in stone. It's extremely difficult to remove a carving from a stone, not like paper. Al-Imam al-Sadiq salawatullah, either Imam al-Sadiq or al-Baqir, one of the ma'soomeen, sallu alayhim ajma'een. He says we teach our children young. We teach them to pray at the age of 5. However, you start at 7. Meaning what? Meaning you are not from Ahlul Bayt. Your child might not understand. You don't know how to pressure your child. You don't know when to not pressure your child. Not all of you. However, start at the age of 7. Start teaching them how to pray so it becomes a natural part of their being. Fatima Zahra alayha salam used to not feed Hassan and Hussein so that they can stay and pray. She would refrain from overfeeding them. I shouldn't say not feeding them. From overfeeding them so that they do not sleep because they're so full. Rather, they are up so that they can pray. Who raised Al-Qasim? Al-Qasim was raised by Al-Hussein. How did Al-Hussein raise Al-Qasim? They narrate that Al-Qasim on Karbala, on the day of Ashura, everybody had been killed. Nobody remained. Brothers and sisters, if we go through the timeline, the chronological order, the first one from Ahlul Bayt that died was Aliul Akbar alayhi salam. The Imam ensured that he gives his dearest son first and foremost, so that nobody else can come and say Imam Hussein didn't put his sons forth. And the last man that died was Al-Abbas ibn Abdul Muttalib. Of course, the last one that died from the companions of Imam al-Hussein, because Imam al-Hussein was the last man that actually died. The companions of Imam al-Hussein, the Ahlul Bayt of Imam al-Hussein, the last man that died was Al-Abbas. After Al-Abbas, Abdullah al-Radi'. After Abdullah al-Radi', the Imam stood and he says, Ala hal min nasir. Is there nobody that would support us? Is there nobody that fears hell? Is there nobody that has repentance? Is there nobody for us? They say Al-Qasim alayhi salam heard this word. When he heard this word, he stood up. He was approached by his mother, Ramla. Ramla came to him and she said, Bunay, why are you still here? Go assist your uncle. He says, Mother, I fear he would not let me. She said, here, give him this letter. He opened up the letter. The letter was signed by Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam. What was the gist of the letter? Bunay Qasim, if you see your uncle alone by himself without a supporter, then don't fall short, Bunay Qasim. When you see him in that situation, don't fall short, assist him. They say Al-Qasim came to Imam al-Hussein. Brothers and sisters, Imam al-Hussein was known to be a large, tall man, broad-shouldered. Al-Qasim was a 14-year-old boy. They say when Imam al-Hussein looked at Al-Qasim says, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah, Assalamu alayka ya ibn Rasulillah, allow me to fight. He says the Imam looked at him and he says, no, Bunay, return. Al-Qasim then repeated, Aba Abdullah, allow me to fight. Imam al-Hussein refused. He says, then the boy began kissing the hand of Imam al-Hussein, saying, Ya Ammi, Ya Hussein, oh my uncle, oh Hussein, allow me to face the enemy. Oh Ammi, my chest is constricted from these hypocrites. Allahu Akbar. My chest is constricted from these hypocrites. Allow me to face the enemy. Imam al-Hussein looked at him and he says, Ya ibn akhi, Ya Qasim, anta wadi'at al-Hasan. You are the trust. Imam Hassan trusted you within me. I cannot bear to see any harm come to you. He says, Ya Am, Ya Hussein, but you are wadi'at Abi al-Hasan. You are the trust of my father al-Hasan to me. Ya Am, Ya Hussein, take this letter and read it. They say the Imam looked at the letter, he read it, as we said. He read it and it says, Bunay, when you see your uncle all alone with no supporters, don't fall short in assisting him. He says, Ya Ammi, I think this is it. Am I not right? This is the day when you are all alone, Ya Hussein. This is the day when you have no supporters, Ya Hussein. This is the day when I am meant to support you, Ya Hussein. They say Imam al-Hussein pulled him and hugged him tight and they began crying. Brothers and sisters, the narrations only narrate twice where Imam al-Hussein cried until he fainted. Once with Ali al-Akbar, and once when he was saying goodbye to Ali al-Akbar, and once when he was saying goodbye to Al-Qasim. Then he said, Bunay, carry into battle. They say this 14-year-old boy, what did he say? And what can we learn from what he said? He says, إن تنكروني فأنا نجل الحسن سبط النبي المصطفى والمؤتمن هذا حسين كالأسير المرتهن بين أناس لا سقوا صوب المزن. If you deny me, I am the son of Hassan, the grandson of the Prophet, of the trusted Prophet, the trusted and guided Prophet. This is Hussein amongst you, like a ransomed prisoner. Ya Allah. This boy describes the position of Hussein. Kal asir al murtahan, like a prisoner who is up for ransom. Within people, may they never be given, may they never be blessed by the blessings of the heaven. Brothers and sisters, I want to focus on a couple of points, inshallah. The first point of here, even if we drag it out a bit, the first point is he announces who he is. He leaves no doubt for the enemy. He identifies himself. He holds strong to his identity. I am Al-Qasim ibn al-Hasan ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib ibn Rasulillah ibn Fatimah al-Zahra. That is who I am. He was where, brothers and sisters? He was with the enemy. Had he not said those words, they might have let him live. However, we see that some of us today, some of our brothers and sisters, are willing to deny their identity in a peaceful country like this over peer pressure, over the fact that I want someone or something or some who to like me and to say that I fit in. I am willing to deny my identity. While Al-Qasim, a 14-year-old boy in the middle of battle, carrying his sword, facing death, says, if you deny me, I am the son of Al-Hasan. The second point is that he was able to draw out the situation. He was able to identify the situation. هذا حسين كالأسير المرتهن. It's as if he's asking, are you guys insane? Are you guys sane? What is wrong with you? This is Hussein, and you're treating him like a ransomed prisoner? Lastly, he says, within people, may they never be blessed by the blessings of the heaven. Here, brothers and sisters, it is as if this young boy is showing us the knowledge that he attained from his fathers. Why? Because he's referring to one of the narrations of the Prophet. The gist of that narration is the Prophet says, may Allah never bless Bani Umayyah, and may Allah never give them the blessings of the heaven, and may they never drink from Al-Kawthar, and may they never receive my intersection. We believe that the Prophet is a shafi', he intercedes on our behalf. They say when he rode into battle, bi abi wa ummi ya Qasim. When he rode into battle, Imam Hussein, his eyes were following his nephew. They say as he was fighting them, I don't want to go into the narrations of how many he killed and how many he didn't kill. That's irrelevant, and in all honesty, I can't authenticate them. However, his bravery was known. He is the son of Al-Hasan ibn Ali. The bravery of Al-Hasan ibn Ali is well known in battle. Inshallah, afterwards, remind me in the Q&A section of the story of Al-Hasan and Siffin. They say that as he is fighting, his left shoelace became undone. Now, you could say a shoelace, a shoe strap, nonetheless. He regarded the enemy as naught. Meaning that he had no regard for the enemy. He had no care for them. To him, his shoelace was more important than the enemy that he faced. Adding to fact that an Arab, a proud Arab, would not ride into battle barefooted. A sign when someone goes barefooted into something, that is a sign of great importance. For example, where do we see this? We see this when Al-Abbas wants to come to Zainab. He comes to her barefooted. So being barefooted in the Arab culture at that time had great significance. Where are you barefooted? When you enter the masjid, you are barefooted. So they say he paid them no mind. He left them alone, and he bent to wrap his shoelace, to tie his shoelace. Now, one could say, did this enemy have no heart? Couldn't they wait a single moment? In fact, the La'een was standing next to one of his friends. And he says to him, Alayya athamul Arab, may I carry all the sins of the Arabs if I do not break Hussein's heart within his nephew. The guy next to him, he says, what is wrong with you? Look at him. He looks like the moon on its day of, he looks like a full moon on a dark night. Why? And look at how these enemies are surrounding him. Leave him be. He says, I cannot and I will not. He charged at the boy. They say as the boy's bent down, he struck him on the top of his head. Brothers and sisters, when the boy was struck, he says, Alayka minni salam. Ya Amma, Ya Husayna. They say when Imam al-Hussein heard this, he came running. He came running without his horse. Allahu Akbar. Honestly, when I read this narration today, I said, Allahu Akbar. Hussein couldn't even ride his horse. His emotions took him and he came running at the boy. They say when he got to the boy, he saw that this boy was يَفْحَصُ بِرِجْلَيْهِ. Meaning what? Meaning he was stretching and extending his legs and contracting them from the pain. He says the Imam looks at him, sat next to him, says to him, Sabran, Sabran banu ukhwati, Sabran banu umumati. Be patient, O my nephews, be patient, O my uncles and the sons of my uncles. For you will never see hem after today. You will never see pain after today. They say that he drew his final breath. When he drew his final breath, as we said, brothers and sisters, Qasim was 14 years old. Al-Hussein was 61 years old, 60 years old, 59 years old, a full-grown man who was known to be tall and broad-shouldered. They say when he wanted to carry him, he couldn't carry him the way you would normally carry someone. What did he do? He put his chest on his chest. La ilaha illallah, Ya Hussein. He put his chest on his chest, and when he lifted him, Hussein could not stand upright. Then the narration says that he started dragging him while the boy's feet are dragging on the ground, brothers and sisters. He took him back and he put him in the tent where the deceased are. When he put him in the tent, he sat next to him. Who was next to him? Next to him is Ali al-Akbar. Who was next to him? Next to him are his kin and his nephews and his brothers. They say the Imam started crying and weeping when Zainab heard. She said, Wa walada, wa qasima. However, the mother, Ramla, she was too shy. She did not want to enter the tent. So when Imam Hussein felt that Ramla was at the foot of the tent, he left. He stood outside and he started crying outside. That's when Ramla entered. Ramla, the mother who rose the sun, who spent her days on the sun. Did she cry and did she weep? Did she tear her hair out? No. Rather, she cried and she said, congratulations for the heaven. That is Al-Qasim. They say the last one that was killed from Bani Hashim, from Bani Ali ibn Abi Talib, was Ubaidullah ibn al-Hasan, who was 11 years old. They say Ubaidullah ibn al-Hasan. Brothers and sisters, in all honesty, this hurts me more. Ubaidullah ibn al-Hasan saw that Hussein is on the ground. Al-Hussein was bleeding from his heart, was bleeding from his liver. Al-Hussein was bleeding from his face. Al-Hussein was on the ground and he could not move. When Ubaidullah saw this, he ran into battle. They describe him. They said that he had a small turban on his head, and that he had an earring in one of his ears, and that he was so beautiful and white-skinned that when he ran, it's like the sun approached upon us. Then as he came close to the Imam, one of the La'ana wanted to strike the Imam on his head. So the boy looks at him and he says to him, Yabna al-Khabith, Aturidu an tadrab ammi. Oh, you the son of one who is khabith, who is treacherous, you want to strike my uncle? They say he jumped in front of his uncle, in front of Hussein, and they cut his right arm off. However, the arm stayed hanging by the skin. He looked at his uncle and he says, Ya Am, look at what he did to my arm, Ya Am. They say as he is right there, the La'in then returned and struck him on the top of his head while he is on the chest of Hussein. Bi abi wa ummi ya Hussein. Bi abi wa ummi ya Aba Abdullah. Bi abi wa ummi ya ibn Rasulillah. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Al-Hasan alayhi salam, in his final moments, Al-Hussein is next to him. Al-Hasan is poisoned. Al-Hussein is next to him and the Hussein is crying. The Imam looks at Al-Hussein, Imam Al-Hasan looks at Al-Hussein and he says to him, Aba Abdullah, don't cry. Aba Abdullah, la yawmka yawmika ya Aba Abdullah. There is no day like your day, ya Aba Abdullah. That's why the poet, he says, Kullu yawmin ashura wa kullu ardhin karbala. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا آل محمد أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. اللهم بحق الحسين الوجيه وجده وأبيه وأمه وأخيه والتسعة المعصومين من بنيه فرج عنا يا Allah. Brothers and sisters, we have families in Afghanistan that are going under the same fear that Ahlul Bayt went through on the day of Ashura. They do not know whether they will live tomorrow or the day after. The same enemy that killed Hussein, their descendants are now looking to kill your brothers and sisters. Please make dua for them. Brothers and sisters, you saw out of desperation they were climbing onto planes. Out of desperation, they were grasping onto the brakes of the planes, onto the wheels of planes. They were falling from height to run from this enemy, the same enemy that has continued for 1400 years. I ask Allah, bihaqq al-Husayn al-Wajih, that He may hasten the appearance of our Imam, so that He may solve our problems, inshallah, the ones that we cannot solve for ourselves, so that He may complete our minds and our hearts, and the minds and the hearts of the world, and that there might be peace on earth. Finally, Ya ibn Rasulullah, mata tasabburu bintidharik. Our patience have worn thin and has died waiting for you. Ya Hujjat Allah, Ya ibn al-Hasan. وإلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات وأرواح من مات على الهدى والإيمان. رحم الله من قرأ الفاتحة مسبوقة بالصلاة على محمد وآل محمد.
सलाम करबू बला या हुसैन या मौला, सलाम हाय शहीदान करबलाए वफा। हर एक ज़र्र से मातम किया रही है सदा, हर एक ज़र्र से मातम किया रही है सदा। अना ज़व्वार हुसैन इब्ने अली, أنا زوار حسين ابن علي، أنا زوار حسين ابن علي، أنا زوار حسين ابن علي، أنا زوار حسين، أنا زوار حسين ابن علي। चला हूँ करबू बला है ज़बां पे बिस्मिल्लाह, है दिल में कलमाए हक ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह। सफ़र कबूल करे या हुसैन सार अल्लाह, सफ़र कबूल करे या हुसैन सार अल्लाह। हम लोग अज़ादार हुसैन, अरे वल्लाह हम लोग वफ़ादार हुसैन, हम लोग तरफ़दार हुसैन। ए आका मेरे, ए मौला मेरे, नौकर है सदा ज़व्वार तेरे। अना ज़व्वार हुसैन इब्ने अली, अना ज़व्वार हुसैन इब्ने अली, अना ज़व्वार हुसैन, अना ज़व्वार। सलाम इसका के हमको बुला लिया मौला, सलाम इसका के ज़ाहिर बना लिया मौला, सलाम इसका के दिल में बसा लिया मौला, सलाम इसका के दिल में बसा लिया मौला। हम अहले यकी अहले अज़ा, हम फातिमा ज़हरा की दुआ, हम सारे सफ़ीराने अज़ा। ए आका मेरे, ए मौला मेरे, नौकर है सदा ज़व्वार तेरे। अना ज़व्वार हुसैन इब्ने अली, अना ज़व्वार हुसैन इब्ने अली, अना ज़व्वार हुसैन। खुदा का शुक्र दयार हुसैन देख लिया, इन आंसुओं ने मज़ार हुसैन देख लिया, नसीब मेरा विकार हुसैन देख लिया, नसीब मेरा विकार हुसैन देख लिया। क्या शान तेरी करबो बला है, खाक तेरी खाके शिफा, जागीर अलमदार वफा। ए आका मेरे, ए मौला मेरे, नौकर है सदा ज़व्वार तेरे। अना ज़व्वार हुसैन इब्ने अली, अना ज़व्वार हुसैन इब्ने अली, अना ज़व्वार हुसैन, अना ज़व्वार या हुसैन, या हुसैन।
अस्सलामु अलैका या रसूलल्लाह, अस्सलामु अलैका या अलियन अल मुर्तज़ा, अस्सलामु अलैका या फातिमतुज़ ज़हरा, अस्सलामु अलैका या हसन मुज्तबा, अस्सलामु अलैका या अबा अब्दुल्लाह, व अलल अरवाह अल्लती हल्लत बिफ़िनाइका अलैका मिन्नी सलामुल्लाहि अब्दम्मा बक़ीतो बक़ीउल लैल वन नहार, वला जहलुल्लाहिल आखिरतिल अहदी मिन्नी लिज़ियारतिकुम। अस्सलामु अलल हुसैन वला अली इब्नुल हुसैन वला औलादिल हुसैन वला अस्हाबिल हुसैन, खुसूसन सैयदी व मौलाय अबुल फज़्ल अब्बास, अब्बास इब्न अमीर अल मोमिनीन व क़ासिम इब्न अल हसन व मुस्लिम इब्न अक़ील व हानी इब्न उर्वा व हबीब इब्न वज़ाहिर व हूर शहीद अर्रियाही। अस्सलामु अलैकुम व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू। अस्सलामु अलैका या मौला व इब्न मौला, अस्सलामु अलैका या गरीबल गुरबा, अस्सलामु अलैका या शम्सस समूस, या नीसन नफूस, या अली इब्न मूसा रज़ा व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू। अस्सलामु अलैका या मौलाना साहिबुल अस्र वज़ ज़मान, अलमान अलमान अलमान। अस्सलामु अलैका या खलीफतुर रहमान, अस्सलामु अलैका या शरीकल कुरआन, अस्सलामु अलैका या इमामल इंस वल जान। अज्जलल्लाहु तआला फरजक व सहलल्लाहु तआला मखरजक व जअलना मिन आवानिक व अंसारिक व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला